Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast, where we discuss what's happening in the cryptosphere and trading on earth as it is in heaven. Buckle up and huddle on while we dive in and get weird. Here are your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Good afternoon, everybody. Actually, it's before noon while we're recording, but it will be afternoon when it gets posted, so that's fine. Welcome to, I think today's Thursday. Time has been such an interesting thing lately. It's hard to keep track.
It's a bit fluid from time to time.
Very true. Ha ha. All right. Well, before we get into today's topic, let's run through a couple market updates. We've got Bitcoin is up basically 1% over 24 hours, up 5.4% in 7 days, currently trading at 16,591. I'm glad it's holding 16, but man, it's been an interesting time with Bitcoin.
That's true. Hey, remember way back when we posted a meme about just not having Bitcoin go under 40?
Yeah, I remember 40, I remember 30, I remember 20. We have Ethereum up 0.5% in 24 hours, up 10% in 7 days, currently trading at $1,200. Our biggest mover in the top 100 is HBAR, or Hedera is the name. It is up 6.1% in 24 hours, which is telling of the top 100.
Yes.
And it is up 15% in 7 days, currently trading at 5 cents. It is a smart contract based crypto. And that's about it for updates. We don't have any special things going on, no honorable mentions. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, especially with HBAR being up 6.1%, there just wasn't a lot of big movers. There was nothing double digits. It was all pretty small movement today. So
it's kind of an interesting flattening of this particular market. It doesn't seem to be that way typically. Hey, honorable mention with HBAR. You told me this earlier. They do smart contracts, but they've done smart contracts for really large companies like Boeing, like Google. Who else was on that list? Do you remember?
There was a lot of really large names that were associated with them. And so I think smart contracts are a utilization of crypto, and I think they're a utilization of crypto that we will see a lot more of.
Agreed.
And probably outside of the Bitcoin ecosystem, but just that we will see utility from other coins bringing in smart contracts. I think it's a great step forward in the way things are done.
I completely agree. I was going to call it a helpful utility.
Yeah.
It just really is a technology that's needed and will help innovate and drive things to be more efficient. So I'm all for it. I still don't think it's going to be used as a currency.
Right.
But that utility in itself is really important.
I am becoming more and more firm in my belief that we should not call all these things cryptocurrencies, but that we should call them, I don't know, technology companies or Web3 companies or blockchain companies, maybe. Because I think calling them cryptocurrencies does a disservice to them and what they're capable of, but also does a disservice to Bitcoin and other coins that are actually attempting to be currency.
I tend to agree. Although I would be comfortable with calling them crypto because I feel like they're still in that realm. I mean, it's crypto markets, right? Just maybe not all cryptocurrencies.
Right. Yeah, I think that is that ending of the word is certainly where my hang up is with it.
Same. I think we talk about it more and more. We might just become like Bitcoin maximalist podcast. That might happen because I feel like every day I get closer in that direction. I'm not saying that the others aren't important, but as a currency, I just kind of think Bitcoin's the option.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
option.
The option.
Mhm.
Totally agree. All right. Well, one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and I can also see this sort of being a theme, at least for a season, is the unknown and kind of the maybe future. I see myself thinking more towards the future that I want to create, the future that I believe Father is creating through me. And although I don't have an exact picture of what that looks like, I still feel a desire to pursue it.
Mm.
So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. How maybe not even how to do that, but just kind of that's what's going on in our lives. There's a lot of things changing, there's a lot of things picking up speed, shifting focus, momentum, a lot of things in life that are just uh, things we have done for years are changing. And um, but I can tell you that I don't know exactly where it's leading, but I
Mhm.
know that the priorities, the weights, the government of what has been going on is changing.
I would tend to agree. I think even just on small scale. So we're on this podcast. You're listening to this podcast. So let's talk about the podcast.
Right.
Um, a few weeks ago, I mean, maybe it was 4 weeks ago or so. It was right before we went to South Africa. We were talking about how the podcast might change. Maybe we'll implement some things. We'll start talking about a little broader view of some of the market stuff, but felt like there would probably be some changes coming this month.
Mm.
And let me just say that was very uneducated, but maybe a little prophetic.
Right.
Because all of a sudden now, not that we have the biggest broad view, like on what's going to happen with the podcast or even our business that is behind the podcast. But all of a sudden, the Father's been opening up some new things with it. And
Mm.
you're going to start seeing more guests on, maybe talking a bit more heavily about shifts that are coming and
Mm.
um, that kind of broader view from the kingdom. But it's just an interesting thing because even just this is feels like it's shifting, like it has just something we hit some point and now it's speeding up, it's accelerating, it's shifted. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's wild, but it's not just in that, it's everywhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of areas in life that are just, I would almost say the priority of what we've been doing changed, or just the routine of what we've been doing changed.
Hmm.
And that it's just intriguing. Like with this show, we've kind of been in a rhythm of having the same conversations or similar conversations, um, having Mondays and Thursdays and doing these things. And now, I mean, probably the thing we know the most is we have a couple guests scheduled. Um, and we've had a handful of guests on in the past, but not super regularly. Um, but it's just kind of a shift in, hey, we know uh, a fraction of what Father has for the financial world coming, and we know a fraction of what He's given us to play a part in that. But if we have conversations with other people, we can learn their pieces and we
Mhm.
can begin to paint a broader view of what's going on. And I think it'll be really intriguing. There's a handful of people we've reached out to. We have a couple of them already scheduled to record with us. There's a couple others we're waiting for, but it's, there's, I think it's going to be fun conversations. And I think it will open the door to deeper conversations and deeper questions that we didn't even know existed.
Mhm. Yeah, just like we keep going back to this, or maybe I do. Like we have had these conversations with Herman just through normal relationship. Like we're
Mm,
just friends, I guess. But a lot of what we've talked about in those conversations has like spurred us on to look
mhm.
further into what it is that Father's doing. And it gave us a broader view of what he's doing with others.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little more clarity about our own roles in that, because I'll just be really honest about how Father operates with me a lot, especially with this stuff. He gives me just enough information to get me to agree to do it. That's,
Uh,
and I don't always have all the details, and I don't always have 5 steps ahead. Like first we'll do this, then we'll do that, then we'll do that. It's usually I have the direction in which to step, but I don't quite know where I'm landing.
yeah.
That's kind of how it is. And I even think it's fairly interesting. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but as you were talking about this, Josh, in the past year, like we've done a lot of the Mystic Monday stuff, and we've had 2 major themes. If you ask
Mm,
me, 2 major themes. One has been perspective, and
mhm,
one has been unity. And I
mhm.
think what he's shifting us into with having more people on who have um, a piece of the puzzle as well is tapping into other perspectives from a place of unity.
Yeah.
And it's really important, because if we're going to move forward, if we really believe this is from the Lord, this is kingdom, it can't be about just us.
Mm,
Like it just absolutely cannot. And again, I only have enough to get me to go on to the next step. Like
yeah.
that is, I mean, I say that he's given me a glimpse of a really broad view, but none of
Mhm.
the steps in between.
Yeah. I
So it
find
really is
that,
stepping into the unknown. Like we're saying this, here's the word of the day. It's like into the unknown. It's
mm,
because we know the direction in which we're going. We know the end goal kind of,
right.
but everything in between is still very unknown.
I find that Father does that a lot in in my life at least, and from conversations I've had with other people, seems like it does it to them as well, where he'll give you sort of a picture of the end goal, maybe not even clarity of it, but just kind of a, hey, this is what it might look like. And then possibly give you the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And then the in between comes from relationship. And it also comes from your maturity to take that first step and that end goal and begin to go that direction. And I think it's that faithfulness in putting to work the vision that he gave you, that through that and through relationship he gives more information and you see more of the puzzle. And but yeah, it's, we are we are changing, things are changing in our personal world, in our business world, in the country we live in the world we live in, and we don't know exactly what that looks like, but we can feel the shift taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our heart is just, how can we be positioned to remain open, um, to the voice of Father, and not be so stuck in, well, this is what you had told us to do, that we're not able to hear, this is what I want you to do now. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, I'm excited because both of us feel the changing in the atmosphere. And that to me means that we're already positioned to receive what's coming.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Yeah, it is a big unknown, but it is a journey in faith. It is a journey in relationship, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to walk down that path with our business, with the people we're associated with, and with maybe new conversations that we have with people. I fully expect that the conversations that we plan to have with guests will open doors to other conversations and other thought patterns that we never had before.
Mm-hmm. I tend to wonder because sometimes when we're having these conversations, so we were very not adamant, but we were aware of not having this conversation before we started recording today, because we tend to do that and we get all the good stuff out and you guys are left with like stale second leftovers. I don't know. That sounds really terrible, but I don't mean it that way. It's just so some of this is new, but as you're talking about that, I then had this thought, like, what if this is actually the purpose of being given vision and a calling or a destiny or whatever, some of these big shifts that are to happen in the world, what if he gives you your piece of it, but it really does have to depend on you also being united with the rest of the kingdom to be able to see it come to fruition. So it's not just for me to carry. This isn't like the weight of the world on my shoulders. It can't be, because it can't ever be about me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But can it be about the representation of heaven on earth and about us stepping in as sons to see this come to fruition? And if that happens, it's going to have to come with multiple perspectives, because the Father has all the facets of him could never be represented in one man. That's what I would say.
Right. Yeah. I think that it is. Yeah, I think that's it. I think, one conversation we've had a lot, I think we've had on the podcast as well, is just the importance of your individual piece, but your individual piece within the whole the whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so we've talked about that. We've talked about it with crypto and Bitcoin as like decentralization, bringing centralization, like your individual node, your individual miner, your individual transaction brings together, it ultimately brings you into an ecosystem and a community. Like it brings your individual piece makes the body fuller.
Right.
And so I think you see that with Bitcoin. I think you see that. I think you see that in all facets of life, that if you're open to other people's parts, it makes the picture bigger. And I think the important part is finding who you're supposed to be intimately connected with,
Mm-hmm.
because it's great to see the whole body, but you're not meant to be connected directly to the whole body. So finding the pieces that you're close to will ultimately help you perform what you're supposed to better and help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it'll give a bigger picture. Like I just, I don't know. I think maybe this is where some of organized religion has missed it a bit. Like
Mm,
we have this piece of the picture and we're going to build everything around that piece of the picture, but no, we won't connect with any other pieces because they do it different than us.
right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think we've missed it in that regard. And I think it's good to partner with those who have very similar callings so that you can work together on that. But to
Hmm.
discount those who have the pieces that connect, or even the pieces that don't connect, but to find the pieces in between that do, and
Yeah.
still be able to be united, even if it looks different.
Hmm.
It takes me back to the conversation we've had many times, but I mean, we attended this conference earlier this year. It was over crypto stuff. There were questions that were asked that were answered exactly opposite of how, at least me personally, how I would answer things. And I thought, well, they have no idea what they're talking about. And then the Father goes, no, 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 they know exactly what they're talking about. They're coming at it from a different perspective because I've given them that other perspective, but it's
Hmm.
important and yours is important and neither is wrong. Right. And
Yeah.
I think that was such a huge lesson for me this year. Is probably why I talk about it so much. Just because it can't be about just the one piece or the one point of view, you have to actually be open to these other things operating how they're supposed to operate and realize that it is all connected somehow. You just kind of have to figure out how to put the puzzle together,
Right.
or where you fit into the puzzle.
Yeah, I think that it's beautiful to be able to recognize that somebody else can be operating exactly how they're supposed to and it not look like you. Because our whole earth is full of diversity.
Mhm.
And it's not about making everything look like one another. Being in unity doesn't mean making everything the same. I would argue that it really only means it all has the same source.
Mhm. Mhm. I'd agree. I think maybe that's where some of the misunderstanding has come.
Mm,
We think unity is replication,
mm,
but it isn't. It's actually quite diverse. It's just looking at one another and appreciating what role that fills and what role this fills, and that yes, you can fill a different role and it's okay.
yeah.
But I think also if we're not willing to go to the source ourselves, we will wind up only replicating each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we hope to take you guys on this journey with us of expanding our perspective. Yeah, getting a higher perspective, seeing a broader perspective of what's going on. So hopefully our listeners will also enjoy that change in maybe what we have to offer. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the future. So
Yeah.
we will be taking next week off. It is the week of Thanksgiving. We have some family things going on. We have some holiday things going on. So we will see you guys back in a little over a week.
Sounds good. Enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Join us every Monday and Thursday as we discuss trading on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to connect further, follow us on social media at market.mystics for Instagram and TikTok, and search for Market Mystics on YouTube and Facebook. If you still need more, follow the link on Facebook to book a coaching appointment. Until next time, see ya.